Giftpreneurs, Episode 8, The Energy Factor. The most important question to ask yourself if you're going to try to create a life based upon your gifting, which doesn't solely depend upon a particular skill set that you've learned in school. So today we're going to talk about that question. I wanted to touch off today with continuing laying the foundation into the whole giftpreneur concept and how, it's my personal opinion that right now is probably the best time and the greatest time to really think outside the box in regards to what it is you're actually going to and you want to commit your life towards in the form of, your calling or creating something that can be considered your life's work, which will help you transition beyond just a regular working life cycle that we've been taught in school and just happen to continue on through mere tradition. And so I thought, what better way to really kick this episode off other than talking about, what should be the driving force behind every endeavor that you take on in an entrepreneurial sense, especially. And the very first thing I think about for myself in particular is, what gives me the most energy. And so in your working life, whether it's on a job or whatever it is that you do for a living or to make a living or to earn a living, you always have to ask yourself, am I doing something that I enjoy? Is what I'm giving my energy towards every day, is it adding to me or is it draining me? And so there's a lot of stats out there that talks about how Monday morning is one of the most dreaded days that we could all imagine, because it's the idea of people coming, their weekends coming to an end, and the idea, just the mere thought and the dread of Monday morning. And it is really not good if you don't really enjoy what you're doing and you have that feeling or carry that weight with you. And even if you love what you do, remind you that getting up Monday morning to go somewhere to contribute towards your workforce or whatever, or your job or your employment in that regards, it has a life cycle. And so within that 30-year, 40-year window, once that's done, that's all she wrote. And then the question will be, what have you built around that can still give you that exciting feeling and the energy needed to wake up on Monday morning? And so I came across something, I believe it was by Steve Harvey. So listening to Steve Harvey give a motivational presentation, he threw out there a question. And so that question is tied into the question I have today, and I added a little bit more to it. But it's something I think that, we all should ask ourselves. And so me personally, as a part of my experimentation with my own journey, this is something that I have spent a lot of time asking myself exactly what that thing is. And so the energy factor has to do with a simple question that can be broken down. And if you are able to put time and energy and effort into coming up with a single answer or a few answers to this question, I think you'll find yourself in a much better position down the line, because it'll give you something to work towards. It'll give you something to begin the process of sowing that seed through via your time and energy and your resources into now, with the hopes of it one day becoming something that will take on a life of its own. And so the very question itself is, what excites you more than anything else that comes easy to you that everyone else struggles with? So I'll say it again. What excites you more than anything else that comes easy to you that everyone else struggles with? And so just that long statement there is something I think that we can all ponder a little bit. We can all take time to try to figure out exactly what would fit into what we currently do now or what we've done in the past that could allow you to check off each one of those E's that's in this statement. And so we have excites, easy, and everyone else. So those three E's are things that I believe we can learn a lot, from in regards to who we are, what excites us, what gives us energy, and what it is that we're wanting to contribute in the grander scheme of things. And so I'm going to start with the very first one. What excites you more than anything? And so that's one thing that I think about. And so just looking at the opportunity of now creating this podcast, and this is just one particular thing, but just the mere fact of taking time to write down and to really focus on what might be labeled as self-help or, self-improvement or whatever category this might fall into, it really excites me, because outside of looking to help other people, if no one else listens to this podcast, by me taking this statement and applying it and pondering on it myself, I'm getting some benefit out of it myself, because from this question, I've been able to extract a few things that has led to even greater thoughts and greater actions in my own life. And so the question I want to throw out there to you is this first E: what excites you? And so everybody has that certain thing, whether it be in hobby form, whether it be something you've learned via skill, whether it be something that you're naturally just good at. Either way, whatever it is that excites you, I'd imagine if you were to sit and think about it for a quick second and rewind back to some prior experiences, you would probably find out that whatever that was that gave you that jolt of energy is probably something that you do not do enough of, because if you're struggling, or if it's not as easy to recall something that gives you energy, then more than likely you've ignored it, because it may not pay anything. It may not have had something that was real big and broad to where people was like, oh man, you're really good at that, to where you more than likely swept it under the rug, for that matter. And so think about right now the first thing that come to your mind. And so what I was going to attempt to do was to offer an opportunity for those that are listening to this podcast to really ponder this, and then definitely if anything comes to mind in the comment section, share what that thing is, because the moment that you type or write down whatever it is, you have now just laid the foundation for a seed that you have an opportunity to add upon. And on top of that, when it comes to, as a giftpreneur community builds up, people will be able to associate your name with that one thing that gives you energy. And then that's a way of being held accountable. Like, you put it out there that this is one thing that excites you. Now let's build on that. Let's find out more about that. And then that is right there as a good way of having somewhat of an accountability type of arrangement, because you now have made it verbally public. So the world now will know exactly what that thing is. And I think that's very beneficial for you. And so what excites you? And so I know for myself, when I feel the most energy is usually when I bring something into existence from an idea. Like the very thought of this, statement itself, just all the stuff I put together just to try to come up with a way to help others and to, help myself. It gave me energy. Like right now I'm excited because as I'm speaking from my heart. I'm speaking from a little bit of scratched out notes, but more than likely I'm speaking as I feel led to share this particular subject matter, because I think it can be a blessing to whoever might act upon it. And so find that one thing or two things. You might be a person who's gifted in multiple things. Therefore, you're probably, able to write down two or three things. But I think that'll be step one in trying to gather, a better understanding of what it is you would like to contribute, or what it is you might be meant to contribute. And then it might factor into that unique gift that you're carrying. And so the next thing is, what is it that you're involved in that is not a struggle? Out of the things that might have came to mind about what excites you, is it something that's easy to you? And so that's another way of saying it's effortless. It's one of those things where you don't have to really think about it at all. And so I was actually having a conversation with my wife last night, and I figured this out for myself over the last couple years, is that whenever I have to think, whenever I have to prepare myself and really put forth the energy to think about how to execute or how to carry out something, that's when I realize that I'm in an area that is an uncomfortable zone, and therefore it will not probably produce, or that event or circumstance or whatever it might be, I may not be able to give a full-fledged 100% worth of effort, because I have to try. And so it's just certain things, it just does not come easy to me. And those things are the things that I struggle with the most in my life. And so, and of course, if you're a family person, you probably have a couple areas in regards to your personal life with your family or whatever. Like when it comes to, communicating effectively with, my spouse, it's one of those things where it's a challenge for me. It doesn't come easy because I'm conscientious of every word I say, because I want to make sure that, A, is genuine, it's from the heart, and all those things that come with, speaking to your spouse. And some people might say, well, it should be easy to talk to your wife. But, if everyone has their own unique situation, and nothing is nothing bad in nature. It's just that I personally, throughout my entire lifespan in regards to being married, I find it's not as easy to talk about certain things the way that, for example, I'm sitting down at this microphone right now and I can just blabber or just pour it all out because it comes easy to me. Same thing with being a parent, communicating with a child, someone who is developing their own way of thinking, their own form of thought and all that stuff like that. I have to consciously, as a father, say this, say that, don't say that. You don't want to, so all of that stuff I have to actually try. And that's all a part of learning. And so it's a good thing, because in order to do things that are not necessarily easy to you, that requires a learning curve. There requires some education behind that. And that's one particular area. But then on the flip side of that, the things that comes easy are the things that, like I'm mentioning now, sitting down right here talking. It's something that comes easy to me. When it comes to formulating certain thoughts and how to articulate it, it comes easy to me. And so it's the things that are not a necessity that I've realized that usually come easy to me. It's the creative aspects of my life that comes easy to me, because it's usually spurred on by some type of idea or thought or something of that nature, where I recognize the difference. Like when I go to the right, for example, and I have to actually consciously think about things, I'm able to give a certain amount of energy. And then after that, I'm drained, I'm done. But then on the left-hand side of that, where it's something that excites me, and it's something that comes easy to me because it's usually spurred on by some idea that just came from nowhere, or it's something I'm already good at, everything flows naturally and I'm able to give 100% energy. And then the clock ticks and I lose track of time and all those good things that occur with, acting upon inspiring idea or something of that nature. So once you know what excites you, does it come easy to you? If you have to struggle to bring forth your greatness, if you got to struggle to bring forth whatever it is that excites you, then obviously that might not necessarily be tied in with your area of gifting, which will make it hard to sustain when times get tough, or sustain when things is not looking as enjoyable or not looking like the results might be there. It's going to be hard to continue on. So just something worth considering. And then the next thing is, once you kind of got an idea of what excites you, and you realize you've been able to put the pieces of the puzzle together of seeing how easy that particular area has come to you, or how easy it is to engage in that activity or that thought or whatever it might be, and it doesn't drain you, it brings energy your way. Then the next thing is, when you assess that particular area of excitement that gives you energy, and it comes easy to you in comparison to your peers, in comparison to those that are around you or those that are in your circle of influence or just activity itself, how does that particular thing that gives you energy, how is it a blessing to other people? How is that something that perhaps other people recognize that in you, and or they rely upon you for that particular thing or skill or whatever it is to bring them value? And so what excites you more than anything else that comes easy to you that everyone else struggles with? And so every struggle or every problem is an opportunity. And so if you're able to take your exciting energy giver, whatever that is, and so you take that exciting thing that comes easy to you, and now you find out a way of like, okay, I don't struggle with this thing. This, whatever this is, it's easy to me. And when I'm involved in it or when I'm engaged in it, it gives me energy. Like I'm really excited to do it, and it doesn't take away from me at all. But then you realize that it adds to other people's lives. That right there is the a process that can be used to extract what it is that you're uniquely gifted in and then solve someone's problems. So everything in regards to the entrepreneurship realm itself has to do with solving problems. I heard that you don't get paid for according to, you're giving your time, but you're paid in accordance to how much value you deliver. And so every problem that is present on this earth, there's a solution to it. And the person who's able to find a way to contribute value towards helping people solve problems will be a person that will always be in demand. And so the giftpreneur concept, as I mentioned at the very start of this, is designed to help people think beyond their jobs, help people think beyond, your work life, just the typical routine that we've all been taught and culture has pretty much groomed us to accept as the primary way to get from A to B. A meaning you get into the workforce, and B means your time is up and now it's time to exit the workforce. And so just on a side note here, I want to share a story with you that from a conversation I had with someone yesterday. And so actually in the gym getting the workout in, and there was a retiree gentleman who worked 35 years at Chrysler, he said, and we were talking, and he's a chit chatter, so I noticed he was looking for a conversation. And so somehow, some way, he talked about, hey, I get in the gym whenever I can, and retired now, and so things are not what I thought they were going to be, but I'm retired. I'm like, okay, so me always curious about other people's journeys so that I can learn from that. And hearing his story, he's basically saying he put in 35 years, and when he retired, he thought that it was going to be the way he had imagined it would be back during his working days. And so come to find out now, 7 kids are fully grown. He have grandkids and things of that nature. And he was like, I always thought that me and my wife would be closer together. I always thought that we would be able to travel and do the things we were not able to do when we were younger, raising kids. And he was like, my man, he's like, it's completely opposite of what I ever thought it would be. He was like, my wife right now is so distant from me. Because we have grandkids now, she's into her grandkids to where when I come home, she's way over there on her phone or, babysitting the kids, to where he was basically saying that, we don't have the life that I thought we were going to have. And I'm thinking like, I imagine how many other retirees probably feel the same way because they did what they were told to do in anticipation of being able to enjoy life, after their working life was done. And so he said, I wish I would have listened. He said, when I was younger in the plant, one of my coworkers told me, he's like, hey man, you don't want to wait till you retire to start enjoying your life. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, my parents, I learned this from my dad. And this was, maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I'm not sure when, but he was saying that that gentleman that he was talking to told him, don't wait until you retire to enjoy your life, because when you do, he's like, this is the guy talking. I witnessed my mom and dad, their lives change because they didn't know who they were or what they were doing at that point, because they were conditioned to do everything that was sound financially and all that stuff that is practical and responsible. But then again, they lost themselves. And so I'm thinking like, wow, this really spurred on my desire to talk about this energy factor. And so right now, you do what's responsible, as I mentioned in prior podcasts. Work your day job because you have to provide for yourself, but don't work your day job with the idea that you're going to postpone, doing the things that gives you the most energy now, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. Nevertheless, 10, 20, 30 years after you leave the workforce, the lifestyle that you're working towards now for that time may not be present. And in my humble opinion, based upon all the things going on now, I would be willing to bank that the retirement concept will definitely go through some transitions between now and the time, a millennial or Generation Y or Z or whatever look to retire, if it's even around in that same viewpoint. But back to the main story. If that gentleman I spoke with had something that gave him energy that he was also working towards, I would imagine he wouldn't have been sitting around at this current moment. As he mentioned to me, I'm bored. He's like, I'm not able to travel because my wife really doesn't want to go anywhere. And then he's talking about our grandkids are over and they jump around from couch to couch all around the house. They rowdy. I can't control them. And so that's just his unique experience. But I'd imagine he's not the only one of the baby boomers out there that might be experiencing something of that nature. And that's why I'm really big on this, finding your energy factor, finding your life's gift so that you never have to exit the workforce, because you're always serving something or someone that will make you a person of extreme value. But yet whatever it is that you're giving away through serving your gift, it's something that gives you energy. And the more energy that it gives to you, the better and the more that you're able to give to other people. So this is just something I wanted to touch on, lay a foundation towards what I believe, is the most important question to ask yourself, because if you do not answer this question or questions like this, you run the risk of falling into the trap of doing what's responsible, doing what's right, but then along the way losing yourself. And then as you get older, you'll realize that everything that you thought may not be what it actually is meant to be. So that being the case, answer this question. Answer this question in the comment section below. I'm curious to find out what you think. What excites you more than anything else that comes easy to you that everyone else struggles with? And if you can answer those E's in great detail, I believe you are on your way to doing something or being able to bring something into existence that will be a blessing to you now, but more importantly, down the line, as you spend more time doing things that gives you energy. And as always, all it takes is the door opening of one thing to spur ideas that can take you down a journey that you never would imagine, that I believe God would definitely want for you to have. So with that being the case, episode 8 is done. Excited to give this information to you guys. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. If you're watching this on YouTube, share this video so other people can find out the importance of focusing on things that gives them energy as opposed to taking energy from them. And then if you're listening to this on a podcast, definitely give this a review so that it can be received by other people via the podcast format. And I'm looking forward to bringing you episode 9, because by episode 10 or 11ish, I'm looking to do some interviews with other entrepreneurs and then present the concept of, what are their unique gifts and how does it apply to their businesses or whatnot. So that being the case, episode 8 is all said and done. Give it a thumbs up, share it, like it, and definitely leave a comment with your unique energy gift down below. Enjoy your day.